All right, everyone, enough of that god-awful music again. Unhappy Friday, everyone, and as Lou Mancini mentioned, that is a misnomer. Here we are once again in our humble abode here, coming to you live right here from where I hide out from my family once a week to talk to all of you. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you, as always, for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. I know sure as shit it's not Facebook. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if, God forbid, you're still stuck at work at 7 o'clock on a Friday. Crack open a cold one if you've got the opportunity. And let's try to have some fun as we put an end to this week's hostage situation and look forward to Divisional playoff weekend, albeit without our birds. I am having a little bit of difficulty here. My printer is still not working. So I have my run sheet up on my screen here. I tried to get it on my phone. I have my OneDrive on my phone. It's still not showing up on there. I don't know what the hell the problem is. Everything's pissing me off. So how the hell are all of you? We got Lou Mancini in the room. David Califoot joins us. Yo. And Lou Mancini asking Dave, how is little Elliot? Yeah, how is little man doing? Everything going well out there in Iowa? I'm glad you got home safe after that whole snowstorm and everything. We had a slight one here this morning. And here in Cincinnati, 2 to 4 inches of snow becomes a big problem. They just don't have the equipment to remove it. Some of you guys that have been with us since we've been doing this show, I've talked about this before, but they just don't have the snow removal equipment. So when there was the threat of 2 to 4 inches last night, they put the kids in a 2-hour delay. And then this morning at about 5 o'clock, we got the message saying that school had been canceled. Now, the storm was supposed to start last night at like 8, 9 o'clock. That got pushed out to like 12, 1 in the morning. So it really made the morning commute a pain in the ass. Of course, I still had to go into work. Kids got to stay home. Kids were actually home twice this week for weather-related crap. On Wednesday, they talked about, wind chill problem at the bus stops in the morning. So they had the kids on a 2-hour delay. Now, for us, that 2-hour delays are a pain in the ass for any parent. Any parent on here who has dealt with it, you know. So my youngest, my daughter, Brooklyn, she normally gets on the bus at about 9, 10 after 9, whatever. But on a 2-hour delay, you're talking about 11 o'clock in the morning. And like nobody's going to be here, right? You know, the neighbors, she's here with us, then she goes next door and then goes down to the bus from there. My neighbor watches kids, so she's got a bunch of them over there. Brooklyn will head over there for a little bit once Michelle leaves for work, and then she'll go down to the bus. But at 11 o'clock in the morning, like, neighbor next door has other stuff going on. So the 2-hour delay doesn't work for us. So we just made a decision to just keep them home. Like, you know what? You're going to inconvenience us. There you go. Kids, you know, give them their work when they come back, and we're done with it. But so, yeah, this morning, a snowstorm, 2-hour delay followed by cancellation, and on the way into work was a bit of a bastard this morning. Keenan joins the room. Go Packers, they wear green, right? It's about all we've got left to root for now. Andrew Bagley joins the room. Hello, roomies, and happy Friday. Damn right, happy Friday. All right, let's get down to the normal stuff here. Of course, I have to keep doing this, which is a pain in the neck. So as we do every week, just a couple things. And this is going to be a little bit more brief, right? Because the season's over, which means some of the Green Legion radio stuff is over too. But, folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, and you are definitely not tuning in on Facebook right now, we'll talk about that in a minute. Please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're more comfortable, we totally get it. But as we say every week and pretty much on every show, the YouTube channel is easily the best way to view, listen, and comment, interact with us on any show that we stream through our StreamYard, right? So please do us a solid, even if you're more comfortable on Twitter, on Facebook, when and if it ever becomes available again. Although I do know StreamYard also has Instagram available too, so I don't know if Diaz and Sam are going to get that rolling. But anyways, even if you're comfortable elsewhere, do us a favor and head on over to YouTube, search the Green Legion, subscribe, hit your little bell for notifications, and share that everywhere. Share the Green Legion YouTube everywhere, the Green Legion Twitter, the Green Legion Instagram. I'd hold off on sharing the Green Legion Facebook right now. I'm sure all of you can tell that for the last week and change, you've seen some pretty weird stuff coming out on the Green Legion Facebook page. That is because the page was hacked. Unfortunately, I know Diaz and Sam and whoever has been working on it, but the bottom line is they are just not helpful. Okay. So they are not, that's why you haven't seen us regain control of that page. It's still kind of being worked on. So, I mean, if you're enjoying watching those videos, do us a favor, guys. When you see those videos come up, report them. Report them as fraud, or just report that that page got hacked. Hopefully enough of us do it and they'll actually pay some attention to it. I don't know. What I do know is we have to figure something out soon, because not too far off here, we're going to start. What are we talking about? Another 90 days, and we're going to be talking about schedule for 2024 football season, and we need that Facebook page to be able to advertise for the trips and whatnot. So it's just a bummer that people are out there trying to ruin everybody's good time, and hackers like that. I did have a friend of mine, and actually my friend Mike, who does the Midwest Eagles Nest thing with me. He asked if I thought it was a competitor of the Green Legion, and I'm like, that's a pretty low blow. I mean, I get it, business is business, but dude, you get caught doing that, man, and you just destroy all of your credibility. I'd like to think people, at least in that arena, have a little bit more backbone, a little bit more credibility than that. So I don't know, but you've all seen it on the Facebook page, so that's why I loved I loved Dave Califoot's comment earlier that he's waiting to see Quimby pop up in one of those videos. So Yeah, I guess it wouldn't really surprise anyone, but that part sucks. So in case you weren't aware, now you are aware. Yes, it was hacked. They're working on it. If you cannot catch any of our shows live, you should be able to watch or listen later on any of the services previously mentioned, but also on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. The All-Pro Green Legion Player Show, that was it, right? Season's over. That's the end of it. I know Chris Sack and some folks are looking forward to some time off. I'm sure a lot of folks at the Green Legion looking forward to some time off. Sam, Quimby, definitely Stephanie, all looking forward to just a bit of a deep breath after a wild season, and one that ended, really disappointing, which we're going to talk about here real soon. As far as shows coming, this one, we have moved to Friday night. I'm kind of liking the Friday night setup. I like to, I like having the whole week, and I'm not so rushed on a Wednesday night coming home from work. Friday nights at 7 kind of work a little better for me. And like I said, like I've been saying every week, if you like what you're seeing here and you want it to continue, need a little help. I need sponsors, guys, or we're not going to be able to keep doing this. It's just going to come down to that. I'm trying out here. I had a couple lined up, but now we don't, unfortunately, when push comes to shove, some folks kind of, they kind of shied away. So if you know anybody who might be interested in some additional advertising for a small market business or something like that, we're not talking about a whole lot of money here, guys. We're not looking for money like what Bud Light puts up for the Green Legion or anything like that. We're talking about very small potatoes here, and it's a year commitment. And then, that to be reviewed at the end of that year, and not even asking for an increase at the end of that year, more so just to make sure that the mutual partnership is good. And then we can just continue on. Not looking for anything earth-shattering. So if you know anybody out there who might be interested in some additional advertising, please, have them reach out to us. Could definitely use the help. And then here locally, anybody here in Ohio, same goes for you. We've got a good following here now, and I'd like to push that even further in this area as well. So the other show we've got, you guys all saw a couple weeks ago, the relaunch of Right on Cue. Not surprised that we didn't do that this week. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, Quimby exhausted. Okay, it's the end of a long, emotional, hectic season for for a lot of folks, and the Green Legion in particular with Quimby and Steph, where they are out on the road every single week. Honorable mention to Captain Demps, although he does that by choice. So, I was not surprised we didn't do Right on Cue this week. I was thrilled to be back and be a part of it on the relaunch a couple of weeks ago. That was a lot of fun. So hopefully last week, hopefully we'll be able to do that again. It gives me a break from having to host and carry it. So it's fun. You let Quimby just go on about his business, and he sits there ripping shots, and it's just a good time. So hopefully we get to continue that. But as of right now, those are your two shows. I don't know if there's going to be a Green Legion radio show on a Saturday or anything like that. If we have any more details on that, you'll see it get released as soon as it becomes available. Other than that, from here, we're just trying to finish up the football season and look forward to baseball coming up. I know a lot of you folks there in Philly are pumped up about the Flyers and the Sixers, and rightfully so. Flyers are red hot, and Joel Embiid looks like a man who cannot be stopped right now. And then beyond that, you got your Phils coming up. Spring training's in about a month. Baseball season will get underway, and then before you know it, the NFL draft and the schedule release will come out, and we'll be back here talking about where we're going to go in 2024. We all know where we want to go, right? New Orleans at the top of that list. But where we're going to be able to go will be determined by where the games fall in the schedule. So let's get back over to the room here again. What do we got here? Lou Mancini. I did snow removal at work for 10 hours today. Oof. I could think of a lot of things I'd rather do than remove snow for 10 hours. And some of them are gross and probably painful. So we're going to leave that there for now. Andrew Bagley, any news on if they canned Nick today? No, nothing. The last word was what? That Nick was going to meet with Jeff and deliver his plan for how he's going to get things fixed, right? You've seen the reports that Nick and Howie have been reaching out to coaches and coordinators to backfill those positions. I think we all know that at minimum, Sean Desai is out. There are rumblings that Brian Johnson may not be going altogether. We'll see. I don't really know. Lou, I just saw your text message now, but you saved your next guest for the show. We'll get to the boner of the week here in just a few minutes. But as far as Nick goes, no, we don't know yet. We just don't know. Look, you can make an argument both ways. Let's talk Nick Sirianni for just a minute before we get to the boner of the week and then on into coaches and this week's games. You could make the argument for Nick keeping his job. And you know what? Here, we're going to go ahead and do this now in case anyone out there is interested. I'll go ahead and pop this up right now. And if anybody wants to join in, go right ahead. Click on that and it'll take you where you need to go. You can make the argument for Nick keeping his job just based on overall results. I mean, we've made the playoffs all 3 years that he's been the head coach. In his first year, we really had no business getting there. Last year was the Super Bowl run. This year we started 10-1. Now it was an epic failure down the stretch that led to an early and embarrassing playoff loss. But overall, the win-loss and playoff appearances, you can make the argument that Nick shouldn't be fired. You can also make the argument for why he should be fired. And first and foremost in that would be the decision-making, okay? Now, he'd earned the right to make his decisions on coordinators once Steichen and Gannon left. But he made a couple of really bad choices, in my opinion. I don't want to hear about the overall numbers for the Philadelphia Eagles offense this year, okay? It was a tale of basically two halves of the season. All right, the first 11 games, we scored a lot of points, and we're moving the ball at will. The last, 6-7 games were terrible. It was awful. The offense was terrible. The defense was terrible. The offense, everything was terrible. So as far as Brian Johnson goes, look, the defense was terrible all year, okay? Particularly the pass defense, specifically in the middle of the field, right? We all know that. There's no reason to keep beating that dead horse. We all know it was awful. Epic, awful. Olympic caliber, awful. The offense, while it started out okay, and we were look, I will tell you right now that offense was scoring points in spite of a very crappy game plan and play calling. Until it got to the point that we became so predictable that the talent on that roster could not overcome it anymore. That's what I saw watching every game this year. Was an incredibly talented offense that was overcoming poor coaching until it just became impossible to do. And I'll give you an example. Monday night in the playoff loss, it's 4th and 5. 4th and 5 for your season. Jalen Hurts ends up throwing a pass to Devontae Smith in the end zone. And a couple of folks in my group started screaming, why the hell would you throw it to the end zone there? Rightfully so. Like when Keenan came on last week and I asked him what's he seeing, this goes along with that, okay? Why did he throw it to the end zone? Well, on TV, we're watching, and all you see is the snap of the ball, and then the camera just follows wherever the ball is. They go to commercial, they come back, and they show the play from over the top. The routes for that play call in a 4th and 5 for your season situation were incredibly stupid. There is nothing over the middle of the field. Every single route was going to take at least 3 seconds to set up, and you needed 5 yards. Not to mention, we've done nothing to negate the blitz for the entire second half of the season, and Tampa Bay abused us with that. There was one point in that game where they had blitzed on 67% of our dropbacks because we couldn't stop it. And the play calling did nothing. Every time there was a blitz, which was, like I said, almost 70% of the time, where did Jalen have to go with the ball? Where's my hot route? Where's my guy that I can just dump it to over the top of the blitz? It was not there. Okay? And that's been going on for a long time. Now, Jalen Hurts needs to eat his bite of the shit sandwich here too. Okay? The moping. Okay? The lack of real passion. I don't want my quarterback out there smashing stuff and going crazy, but I want to see a little more energy. Okay? You know, it's one thing to be stoic and be that leader and everything, and I appreciate him for that. It's a whole other thing to be as monotone and kind of just a little bit lame as he is. Breaker 19, who in the hell is that? I see you backstage. Identify yourself before I let you in here. I can't see your picture. I can just see the little box pop up. So I'm going to need you to tell me who you are before I pull you onto the show. But so that's what I'm talking about with how bland and stale the offense had gotten. And I think it was like that from the start. I just think that once we didn't adjust, it became real easy for teams to just not do. They didn't have to really try to stop us. It was effortless for them to stop us. So I don't want to hear about Brian Johnson's offense. It's Califoot. All right, I'm going to bring you in here in just a minute, bud. I don't want to hear about Brian Johnson's offense when for the last 7 games of the season, we were terrible on offense. I don't even want to hear about the 30-something points against the Giants. They were awful. The team was awful that night. Let's bring Dave on in here. Yo!
What's going on, buddy?
How you doing, man? Where you at?
Just driving. Where am I? I'm back at home. I'm in Iowa right now.
Yeah. You almost home?
I was in your neck of the woods yesterday getting in that snow.
Yeah.
I saw you guys got like 2 inches of snow last night?
Yeah, 2-3 inches, something like that. It's nothing, but like for around here, it's a big problem.
No, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, last week we were in, I think it was -30 out in Iowa. It was almost like too cold to smoke. My snowblower didn't work. It was a mess. So.
Yeah, that sounds terrible, dude. If anybody's never been to Iowa, it's like 100 million degrees in the summertime and like -50 in the winter.
Yeah.
So unless you have a real purpose to go there, don't.
It's insane. I mean, I'm from PA, and when I moved out here, it was like a whole nother lifestyle. I mean, PA, you guys get like, it's like 0, and we're all crying. When it gets like -15, it's like, okay, well, that's winter out here. So, yeah, it's totally different. And I understand, and I heard what you said about like, you know, like the windshield with the school. We just got that too, and I mean, I get it because I mean these kids are out there and like I mean in the morning time it's cold, so it's got to be like -10, and your children are waiting for that bus. I mean I feel for them because I've never been there, but that must suck, you know.
Yeah, I totally get it. I just I didn't grow up like that. We had cold mornings and I still had to walk to school, so it was like you just kind of dealt with things are different now. So I don't want to be that old man yells at sky person. So, I try to let it go. But, once they call, the 2-hour delay is a giant pain in the ass for parents. It just is. You set your whole routine up, and I know there's going to be delays here and there, but a 2-hour delay when there's really no snow or anything like that that's causing big-time inclement weather, that's a tough pill to swallow. I let the kids stay home the whole day. I didn't even care. Like, whatever, stay home.
Yeah. I don't have to. I mean, I don't have to deal with it. I'm on the road, so
right.
I mean, Ruth. I mean, God bless her, because I don't know what the hell I would do. But 2 hours.
Well, I'm usually gone.
Well, that's not going to affect me.
I'm usually gone by about 6 a.m. So I mean, I don't see it either. But we got that message like either I think it was early that morning or the night before that there was going to be this 2-hour delay. I'm like, oh man, come on. And then last night they pulled the same shit with the snowstorm coming, talking 2-hour delay. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, the message went off again saying school had been canceled. I'm like, all right, great, whatever. Go back to sleep.
Did you guys get hit down there in Cincinnati hard? Because I mean, I was up and I think it was Eaton. Have you ever heard of that? Eaton? It's off of 70. I think
so
there might
70.
have been an inch. I'm sorry.
70 goes up and is up around Dayton, Columbus, all that.
Yep. I was through there yesterday.
Yeah.
And
I'm Cincinnati, as you know, is about an hour south of Dayton. We got like 2 to 4 inches of snow.
Okay.
The issue that they had was the storm was supposed to start last night at like 8, 9 o'clock, and it didn't end up starting until like midnight, 1 in the morning. So the morning commute was pretty bad. Yeah, it was pretty messy. Yeah. And they just don't have the equipment to remove it here. Like out there in Iowa, I know that they'll put chains on the bus tires and still make you go to school. Here, that shit doesn't even cross their mind. They don't even have the plows to remove it all. They've got equipment. They just don't have enough of it because generally speaking, we don't get a whole lot of snow here. We just don't. I mean, look, it's January 19th. That was the first real snowfall of the year. We might only get one more.
I don't know about the chains out here, Gilmore. I mean, last week, I know me and you talked. I counted when I was going 80 west. No, 80. I forget which way I'm even going anymore. But when I was on 80, I counted 50 tractor trailers in the ditch.
Damn.
That snowstorm last week was atrocious. And I was in Wyoming, and I apologize. I did buy the, that bar that, you're at, and Tyson did know who you were. I mean, you're like a small little, celebrity down there. But I know I was going to call you at 12 midnight to come out, for a beer. But it was in Wyoming to Cincinnati. It took me over, which should have been a day and a half. It took me at least 50 minutes.
You're breaking up a little bit there, buddy. Are you going through a bad area?
Yeah, I'm in Iowa.
Yeah.
I just wanted to chime in, talk about the Eagles, how much they suck.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I'm really pissed off. I'm pissed off at the fact that we still have Nick Sirianni as the coach. I mean, I usually don't curse, but are you fucking kidding me? He lost the team. He lost his players, and we're gonna still have this jokester on the team. And I'm sorry to who's in the room. I'm sorry to Lou and Keenan, who I love deeply. The best thing that came out of that game was that guy that threw the popcorn at him. I'm sorry, it was. It was funny. And it was, Adam, if it was me, I would have done the same goddamn thing. So
I think a lot of us would at that point, man.
I'm sorry.
I gotta be honest, he's lucky it was only popcorn.
Yeah.
He's lucky it wasn't beer or batteries or something else. I'm with you, dude.
That team laid down. And I haven't seen a team fall like that since when? The 2004 Yankees, they're bud.
That's about it. I mean, I mean, that was epic. And he did. He lost the. You got Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Jalen Hurts, kind of, but the other three for sure have come out and tried to be on Nick's side in his defense. But I can't get worked up with her. Kelsey. He says he hasn't officially decided yet, but I gotta believe he's retiring. Fletcher Cox may be retiring. Brandon Graham says he wants to come back for a farewell tour. And then the other one is Jalen Hurts, where he kind of said that he didn't know that was a thing, but he didn't really give a ringing Nick Sirianni endorsement, right? Every time he mentioned the coaching, he also mentioned Brian Johnson, not just Nick. So I think that's why we're hearing that Brian Johnson may not be gone, because I think Jalen has his back.
So let me ask you this: Are we in a rebuilding year? Meaning, are we looking at 2 to 3 wins a year?
No, we can't do that right now. They gave Jalen the contract. You've got AJ Brown under contract. You're in. I think we're still in win now mode. I think you have to go load up again. You can't go rebuild now.
And we're keeping Brian Johnson.
But that's my problem. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying you're hearing that they may keep him. Now, I don't know if his role gets moved back to quarterback coach, where he was actually really good, and I'm not going to knock him. He's been really good everywhere he's been a quarterback coach. He was not good as the offensive coordinator. I don't care what that offense did the first 10 weeks of the season. That offense did those things in the first 10 weeks of the season because of the talent on the roster overcoming shit play calling. And it got so predictable and so stale that the second half of the year, the teams adjusted to it, blitzed the hell out of us, and the talent couldn't overcome the lack of coaching from there on out. That's what I saw watching the Birds this year.
The 49ers exposed us to the jokesters that we are.
I think we got exposed before that.
Oh, really?
I do. We are one Valdez-Scantling drop and one miscommunication between Allen and Gabe Davis. Those two things go the other direction. We're a 9-win football team. 9 wins.
Yeah.
Was easily a thing. There were warning signs before the collapse. I think Frisco kicked it into high gear. I think they came into Philly and took our soul away, is what happened there.
Oh, they did. They did. Absolutely.
I think, I'm on board with that one. But I think the warning signs were already there.
Yeah. Well, we got the Bruins and the Celtics to root for now. So.
Well, you do. I'm not rooting for anything out of Boston. Fuck Boston.
Pitchers and catchers coming in February. Are we looking at another tank season for the Yanks?
And the Red Sox? Yeah, probably. Yep. So we're both finishing 3rd to 5th in that division again.
I think the Red Sox are going to the World Series this year, bro.
Yeah, you say that every year, and every year it doesn't happen. So.
All right, Gilmore. Well, I love you, kid.
Love you too, brother. You be safe out there, man.
Thanks, buddy.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Dave Califoot, everyone, joining us from the road out there in warm, balmy Iowa. Hoping he gets home safe and enjoys his weekend with his family. So, basically reiterating a lot of stuff that all of us have said, right? Like, how the hell. So, how about the rest of you? Anybody else that wants to pop in and give their opinions on Sirianni, Brian Johnson, where you think the Birds should go looking for a coach? Anybody else want to pop in? I'll give the rest of the show just to that, if you guys want to. Otherwise, we're going to get moving into the boner of the week. You guys know my stance. I thought if the Birds came out in this playoff game on Monday night and looked that terrible, like they did against the Giants in Week 18, that it would be obvious that Nick had lost the room and that he's not going to get the room back. These are grown men. My stance was that these are grown men, not college kids that you can go put your arm around and say, hey, I'm sorry, and blah, blah, blah. Grown men, professionals, getting paid. And I thought if you lost the room, you were not getting it back. And that if that ended up being the case, that he should lose his job. And that ended up being the case. But I'm not so sure he's going to lose his job. Now, Howie and Jeff put Doug Peterson in this same spot. Let's meet with Jeff, and you tell me, Doug, how you're going to fix this. And Doug refused to back down to them. He refused to be their puppet. I think it's going to be pretty. Here's what I will tell you. If Nick Sirianni keeps his job, I think it's going to be pretty obvious that he bent over and took it from Jeff and Howie. There you go. You guys tell me if I'm crazy. We're going to get into the boner a week here, but that's my opinion. There's the opinion of the night. If Nick Sirianni keeps his job, it will be because he went in front of Jeff and took it up the tailpipe. The things that Doug Peterson would not do. All right, we are going to move to the boner of the week. And this should come as no shock. We did have a guest on it prior to the show. Came from Lou Mancini, who has normally been pretty good at guessing this, and he wasn't really entirely wrong. He guessed the Dallas Cowboys for keeping Mike McCarthy. And I will sit here and I will tell you that I would have loved to hand the first boner of the week in 2024 to the Dallas Cowboys for doing that. I would have loved to do that. However, we have a problem here. We started the year 10-1 and had a lot of fun doing so, especially on the heels of last year's Super Bowl loss and lots of folks picking us to have that Super Bowl hangover, right? Get off to that 10-1 start. We're all sitting there like, we told you. For over half the season, we got to stick our middle fingers up at all of them. And then came the San Francisco disaster, followed by another horrifying performance at Dallas. Then the late choke job at Seattle. Mind you, after Nick decided to fly the team to Philly from Dallas first, rather than going from Dallas straight to Seattle. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me talk about that, but I'm not letting that one go. Sorry, not sorry. After that, we beat the Giants. But was anybody all that impressed with that victory? That's a bad Giants football team, and we did not look that good doing it. At that point, that team that beat the Giants looked very much the same as the team that had gotten spanked in back-to-back weeks by Frisco and Dallas and dropped one to Seattle. After the Giants game, what happens? We're home against Arizona. Mind you, Dallas is dropping games at this point, basically handing us the division on a silver platter. What do? We get outscored 29-10 at home to the freaking Crimson Pigeons with Jonathan Gannon as their head coach of all people. Then we limp to the finish line with an absolutely pathetic showing at the Giants, where our starters were on the field in a must-win game for the division and number 2 seed. We were down 24-0 to the Giants. And finally, the slow and painful death of the season came this past Monday night in Tampa to freaking Baker Mayfield. I'll be honest with you. There were warning signs at 10-1, like I just talked about with Dave. The dropped pass by Valdez-Scantling in Kansas City. He catches that, Kansas City wins that game. The following week at home against Buffalo, we need a 59-yard field goal from Jake Elliott in the rain and wind and shit weather, plus a complete miscommunication between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. Otherwise, we lose that game. But what did we all think at the time? Hey, good teams find ways to win. Well, we were all wrong. Seth Joyner was right. We just weren't that good. Maybe we should have known it from the start. No linebackers to speak of. That entire position group hinged on Nakobe Dean being that dude. When he was on the field, which was very, very little, he looked undersized and a step too slow. Safeties young and inexperienced, replacing both coordinators. The poor decisions in some of the roster construction by Howie, like we just mentioned, the linebackers and safeties, and some other bad decisions by Nick Sirianni. You know I'm not letting go of that flying to Philly, then back out to Seattle from Dallas. But he also hired Sean Desai over Denard Wilson. Big mistake. Jalen looking lost in the pocket, dejected on the sideline. The inconsistent committal to the run game, despite having a dynamic running back in DeAndre Swift, who, despite the inconsistent committal to it, still had over 1,000 yards rushing. The middle of the defense being terrible and the pass defense overall getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Flat, predictable play calling finally became far too much for the talent on this roster to overcome. And Nick, in my opinion, looked like he'd lost the room. Now, I'm quite confident you guys, myself, we can all sit here and think of more reasons why. And while I'd like to give this year's first boner of the week to Dallas for that beatdown they took at home versus a first-year starter and the last team into the NFC playoffs, and then double down on it by keeping Mike McCarthy, sorry, guys, I can't do it. We earned it. There's no question about it. Our Philadelphia Eagles earned it as an organization overall. The first boner of the week for this year goes to our beloved Philadelphia Eagles for the epic, pathetic, disgusting, Olympic caliber collapse. So there you go. Lou Mancini, Nick for demoting Desai. Demoting wasn't enough. They should have just been fired, right? That's part of my issue with Nick. Accountability is one of my biggest problems with him. It's starting with himself. He sits up there while our offense is struggling all over the place. He sits up there at the podium and beats his chest about how, oh, it's not just Brian Johnson, it's my offense. Well, dude, maybe you're part of the problem, right? Maybe you're not part of the solution. And if the side was that bad, where you thought Matt Patricia, of all people, should be calling the plays, then why the hell is Sean Desai still on the roster? Why? Because, Nick, it was a decision you made. And you are too arrogant to hold yourself accountable and hold his ass accountable for it. So what does he do? He comes out and says that it's his offensive game plan, but that Brian Johnson is just calling the plays. And then on the defensive side, he makes the same mess out of it. It's still Sean Desai's defense, but Patricia's calling the plays. Dude, you're just convoluting things, making it more difficult in a year full of transition for this team when it needed continuity, solidarity, and a clear focus from its leader, which is supposed to be you, Nick. It starts with you. Jalen Hurts does not get a pass. Bad play calling and shit does not make you fumble the football. Bad play calling doesn't make you stagger around the end zone when you've got a clear shot to get rid of the ball and take a freaking safety with your season on the line in the playoffs. Okay? And let's not act like Jalen didn't do more of that knucklehead stuff all year. Now, bad play calling might play a role, but you've still got the option to get out of there and get rid of it. Terrible. And it starts with Nick. And this is why, as much as I love what he's been able, what's been accomplished the last 3 seasons overall, as far as the playoff appearances and the Super Bowl run last year, I struggle with keeping Nick Sirianni. And that's why I also believe that if he does, in fact, keep his job, it will be because he went in front of Jeff and Howie and just bowed down. Kissing shoes. Kissing rings. I don't see it another way. I just don't. You can't have that big of a collapse, have that team lay down and die and not show up for you in a playoff game when the whole world is talking about whether or not you should keep your job. That team showed no life at all on either side of the football. None. And for that, I believe he should lose his job. But, if he goes in and tells Nick and he tells Jeff and Howie what they want to hear, they'll keep him. That's what Doug Peterson didn't do. He didn't go in there to that meeting because he had the same meeting. He didn't go into that and just give him become a yes man. He didn't do that, and that's why he was shown the door. That and the whole thing had kind of become a mess with Wentz. Wentz was already gone, but changes had to be made. But no, look, we're going to find out here. I don't know if we'll find out this weekend. I don't know if we'll find out before the end of the season. I would like to find out soon because there's coaches out there that can replace this guy. Okay? And if you're going to keep him, then just say you're going to keep him and let's go get some coordinators. Although if I am a potential offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, my phone rings and it's Nick Sirianni. Think about the sell for Nick and or Howie to a potential coordinator. Let's say, well, who could we think of for let's just say defensive coordinator, Ron Rivera. All right, I'm just throwing a name out. What's the sell? There is an extreme amount of pressure to win and win now because that window is closing rapidly. We're already paying Jalen Hurts. And AJ, after next year, AJ's contract is going to become either have to be reworked or he's out the door. You're going to have to pay Devontae Smith coming up. I mean, there's a lot of shit coming. So we're in win now. And Lou Mancini's going to pop in. What's up, brother?
Yo, what's happening, brother? I'm still falling out a bit from all that snow removal.
I don't blame you, dude. That sounded horrible.
Jesus Christ, I'm getting too old for this shit. But here's what I'm thinking about the Nick Sirianni situation. I mean, the Eagles have said nothing. There's all this speculation going on nonstop for weeks now, even before this epic failure in Tampa. But they're not saying anything. So, I mean, if they keep him, they're just making an uncomfortable situation for the entire locker room, the assistant coaches, everybody.
Yeah.
Say something. Say we back him or fire him, you know? I don't know.
And they won't do it. They won't do it. They were supposed to have that meeting today. He was supposed to go talk to Lori today. So hopefully we figure out something coming out of that. But they're either going to come out of it next week saying he's fired or we're keeping him. That's it.
And even if they keep him, I think just by their silence, it's going to be like a loss of trust or loss of faith, so to speak, with the locker room. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I do believe he lost that locker room.
I do. I 100% believe it.
I mean, and just the way they went out there and, oh, my God, no heart, nothing.
Yeah, Keenan calls it right here, right? Denard Wilson was the reason we looked better Sirianni's first 2 years. I was a huge Denard Wilson fan. I thought he should have gotten the defensive coordinator job last year.
Oh, I agree with you 100% on that one, man.
And where does he go? He goes to Baltimore, and Baltimore had the number one in points per game against.
Is he their DC or is just
no? He's the secondary coach still, but like he plays a big role out there.
Oh, so, well, he played a big role here too,
yeah,
right?
He did. And I thought he had earned the opportunity, and they didn't give it to him.
I mean, just look at the play of Slay and Bradbury this year. It's
terrible.
I mean, yeah, they're a little bit older, but I just don't think they're put in the right position. You know, yeah. And when I said about Nick for demoting Sean Desai, I mean, I agree. Desai probably should have never been hired in the first place. But Matt Patricia?
I know, right?
I mean,
this was your option? Like, really?
as you know, as successful he was as an assistant under Belichick, look at what Foles did to him in 2017, man.
It's Belichick's defense.
Exactly.
You know, the guy may very well be the best defensive mind we've ever seen. You know, look, he's got 2 rings as the defensive coordinator with the Giants, and he's got 6 rings with that freaking Patriots team. The first definitely built on defense more than Brady. So
you think Belichick's going to end up in Atlanta?
I do. The more this goes on, I think Belichick is ticketed for Atlanta, and I think it's hysterical.
I know. I mean, where's the quarterback?
Well, forget that. Just take a look. He's this crotchety, old, grumpy white dude in
yeah. I
in
get that.
hip hop Atlanta, dude. Like, what are they gonna do for, like, to get the season started? Is MC Hammer gonna come out with freaking Bill Belichick?
I think he's got to wear some bling or something. He's got to definitely change his wardrobe, right?
I mean, I think it's a funny marriage, but let's be honest here. Bill Belichick is only trying to continue coaching because he wants Don Shula's record. He's not chasing rings anymore. He's chasing the record.
What's he, like 3 wins away or something?
15.
All right.
But in Atlanta, with that bad division, and Kirk Cousins has apparently said he'd be open to going to Atlanta if Belichick's the coach. They've got some talent down there, and you throw Cousins under center.
They definitely do.
Put Cousins under center. Bill coaches the defense, which already isn't all that bad, and he can get 7 to 10 wins a year for a couple of years, break the record, and move on.
Well, I had to pop on just to prove to everybody that I'm not sloppy drunk every night.
It's all right on Fridays, man.
I'm going to work on that in a little bit.
There you go.
Actually, I probably won't. I mean, Christ, it's almost 8 o'clock now. And
yeah, no, I'm not working on anything tonight.
I don't see much past 9 o'clock most nights anyway. So, all right, brother. It was great talking.
Yeah, you too, man.
You have a wonderful weekend.
You do the same.
Everybody in the room do the same, and I'll smell you all later.
Take it easy, Lou. Thanks for popping in.
Thank you.
Lou Mancini joins us again. Good times. Always like having him come pop in. A lot of fun. All right, we're going to get off the Nick Sirianni soapbox there. I think I'll skip the rest of the coaching. And that's the wrong sheet. Of course, because I have multiple things open here because I'm a dork. Let's get into we talked about Bill Belichick to Atlanta. I still think if Jim Harbaugh's coming to the NFL that he is going to go to the Chargers. Just a spot that makes the most sense. I don't envy having to face Patrick Mahomes twice per year, but there's a lot of rumblings that Andy Reid may be out after next season. And there's also warning signs that Chiefs dynasty may very well be coming to an end here. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes has a long time left to play, but they've already lost Eric Bieniemy, which I know played a role in their downswing of offense this year. Their points per game are the lowest in the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid era this year. So, if all of a sudden Harbaugh pops up with the Chargers and Andy Reid rides off into the sunset with his big fat platter of cheeseburgers, you could see that division open up. Anyways, Belichick to Atlanta feels right. Not heard much about Mike Vrabel. Pete Carroll is staying on with the Seahawks as a consultant for now. Rowboat Ron Rivera. Look, I wouldn't mind seeing Ron come into us as a defensive coordinator. I really wouldn't. He's not going to be the head coach, but I wouldn't mind seeing him come to us as the DC. So we'll keep monitoring the coaching situation. I do want to say a big congratulations to Antonio Pierce. Back in 2022, Raiders players lobbied to Mark Davis to hire then interim head coach Rich Bisaccia, and Davis decided to go another direction, which obviously didn't work. This time it looks like Davis actually listened to his team, and they are working to finalize a deal to hire Antonio Pierce as the head coach. So congratulations to him. Well-deserved. And then we'll see where else this coaching carousel takes us. All right. Let's get to this weekend's games before we call it a night, yeah? Anybody got any predictions? Anything they want to throw out there? We're going to put that link up here one more time in case anybody else wants to join in. Give us thoughts. We're going to stick to this weekend's games now, though. I want to get past all the Sirianni shit for now. We don't know what we don't know, right? So let's move on. Hopefully we get some more news over the weekend or next week, and we'll see what happens there. This weekend's games, I'm going to go in order by date and time, okay? So we'll start with the Texans at the Ravens. Now, really, the Saturday games, to me, the Saturday games have the most intrigue because it's the one seeds playing at home, right? So you get the Texans at the Ravens, with the Ravens favored by 9.5. The over is 43.5. That's on Saturday. That's tomorrow at 4:30. So, guys, call me crazy, but there might be more pressure on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens than there is on any other team this weekend. And I'm going to tell you why I think there is. They're the number 1 seed, the bye week, AFC playoffs run through them. That adds enough pressure in itself, right? The expectations. They come into this game having finished the regular season as the number 4 scoring offense at 28.4 points a game, and the number 1 scoring defense, like I just referenced to Lou Mancini, at 16.5 points per game. We can talk all the other stats we want. Yards, completion percentage, yards after the catch, sacks, interceptions, turnover ratio. But the bottom line is that the score is the one that matters the most, obviously, right? And this team wins by an average of 12 points per game. They're up against a young, inexperienced team with a rookie QB, while Lamar Jackson may very well win his second MVP award this year. To me, you guys tell me if I'm crazy, this is Super Bowl or bust for this Ravens team. I really feel like anything less than at least a Super Bowl appearance is a failure for this season for them. And I know that sounds ridiculous when you go 13-4 and you win your division and you're the number 1 seed and all that stuff. But I think for all of those reasons, right, given the history of Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, the fact that they're always injured this time of the year, blah, 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 blah. They're healthy for the most part. Lamar's healthy. They've had the bye week. There are no excuses. They should be ready to go. And they've got a young, inexperienced team with a first-year head coach coming into Baltimore. I don't think there becomes more of a, you better win this game than right here. As for Houston, if I was them, I'd just tell them to play fast and loose, right? Nobody expected them to even sniff the playoffs. And how exactly did they respond? They won their division, then went and smoked Cleveland in the wild card round with their offense putting up 31 points. Don't forget, 45 points overall, but 2 of those touchdowns were on pick sixes. Their offense puts up 31 points versus a Browns defense that was top 5 in the league. We mentioned that CJ Stroud and that he's a rookie up against the possible league MVP on the road. It's also fair to mention that Stroud should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He completed 64% of his passes for 4,108 yards, 23 touchdowns versus just 5 interceptions. His 273.9 yards per game were number 1 in the NFL. Doesn't run a whole lot, didn't run a whole lot in college, but he did add 167 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Overall, for CJ Stroud, I could easily see Stroud to Nico Collins being a big problem combination for defenses for quite a long time to go here. For the game itself, I'm going to take the Ravens here. But don't be surprised if they don't cover that 9.5 spread. And only be moderately surprised if Houston pulls that upset. Yeah, Andrew Bagley. Houston's playing with house money. I totally agree with you, brother. Totally agree. Keenan says Ravens, Packers, Bills, Lions. Bet it. Lou Mancini says he's a Detroit fan because why not? Lou Mancini again. Stroud looks amazing, like when Deshaun Watson came into the league with the happy ending massages. Jesus Christ. So we're going to move on to the Packers-Niners, 8:15 tomorrow night. Keep in mind, when I give you the spread and the over, those are the numbers I'm getting off of CBS, and that's as of like an hour or 2 ago. You might find different on BetMGM or elsewhere, whatever sports book you use. I just look at the CBS app, and it gives me the line that they're using. So Packers at Niners. Niners by 9.5. The over at 50.5. That's tomorrow night at 8:15. It'll be 5:15 on the West Coast. So Andrew Bagley mentions Houston is playing with house money. You want to talk about a team playing strictly with house money? Look no further than the Green Bay Packers. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had them doing a damn thing this season, myself included. There were plenty of your experts who had them finishing dead last in the NFC North because the thought was, well, Justin Fields would take a step forward while Jordan Love had no juice coming into the season. Well, over the final 10 games of the year of the regular season, the Packers went 7-3 and then marched into Dallas, where the girls had won 15 straight and averaged winning 38-16. And the Packers marched in there and smashed Dallas. I know the final score didn't look as good, but the final score obviously did not dictate that game. We all watched it. You all know. They were up 48-16 with 6 minutes to go. Ridiculous. Let's see, where was I? Over the last 9 games, including that beautiful playoff win at Dallas, Jordan Love has thrown 21 touchdown passes versus just 1 interception. You can make the argument that from the midway point of the season through now, that Jordan Love has been the best quarterback in football. You can make that argument. In their last 11 games, including the wild card, they've only had 1 game where they rushed for less than 102 yards, and they've averaged 130 yards per game on the ground. On the other side is San Francisco, the best team in the NFC all year. They did have that 3-game slide where they scored 17 points per game, but keep in mind, the best left tackle in football, Trent Williams, was out, and Deebo Samuel was also out. Probably a top 20 skill position guy in the league. Both banged up during that stretch. The only full-strength loss on their season was at home to Baltimore when the Ravens went out there and put them in an absolute freaking hurt locker. Don't count the last game of the season against San Francisco. They didn't play anyone. They had nothing to play for. So Frisco is going to come into this one fully rested. Number 3 in the league in points per game on offense at 28.9. Also number 3 in the league in defense points per game at 17.5. Much like the Ravens, their average game is a double-digit victory. 11 of their 12 wins were by 2 or more scores. Look, Green Bay is fun, and we'll definitely be rooting for them. But they're also the youngest team in the playoffs with that first-year starter, while Frisco has pretty much the same outlook as Baltimore, Super Bowl or bust. We're going to take Frisco here, and I feel dirty saying it, but I'm not sure they're going to cover that 9.5 spread. What do we got in here? Russ Taylor. Totally forgot. Dealing with snow removal and now having a beer. All right. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Go get him. Andrew Bagley for entertainment only. Lou Mancini says Justin Fields is a bust. We're going to find out what Chicago thinks here real soon. Right? Because they're either going to keep him and trade that number 1 pick, or they're going to trade him and keep that number 1 pick. Russ, I can relate, bro. Cheers. Good for you guys. All right. Let's move on to the next game here. So now we're into Sunday. Sunday at 3 p.m., you have Tampa Bay at Detroit. Detroit by 6 with the over at 50. Okay. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this game. And to be brutally honest here, I may actually nap for part of this one. I just of the 4 games this weekend, it has the least amount of juice for me. Look, the Lions are a nice story, and I'm gonna watch, but like I don't know. First of all, screw Tampa, okay, with a cactus twice. All right. I mean, come on, come on. You guys gonna sit here and try to tell me that Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles are going to make a run to the NFC Championship? Give me a break, dude. I don't want to hear any filth about how Tampa beat us in the wild card round. I just gave you a billion reasons before as to why we stink. All right? Like I said, if Valdez-Scantling makes the catch at Kansas City and Gabe Davis doesn't run the wrong route, we're a 9-win team. And that's a fact. The bottom line is that the Bucs were the tallest midget in a bad division and got a first-round matchup versus a fraudulent Philadelphia Eagles team. I guess of all the favorites this weekend, Detroit could get picked off, but I think that's more because we're just so used to seeing Detroit not be here, right? Like, you're just so used to them coming up short that it's hard to even believe that they could be in the NFC Championship game. But again, I'm not spending too much time on this one. The bottom line is if Goff doesn't throw up all over himself and the Detroit Lions defense stuffs Tampa's run game, then the Lions are moving up. And I'm not going to be at all surprised. I would take Detroit and I would lay the points easily. What do we got here? Everybody's on Detroit, right? Lou Mancini, Detroit will cover. Andrew Begley, I think the Bucs get smoked. Lions in a rout. Califoot says Tampa gets killed, and Califoot thinks that the Bills are the upset loss this weekend. Well, let's break it down here real quick. So Chiefs at Bills. Bills given 2.5, the over at 45.5. I think the current forecast has it somewhere around 25 degrees. I think, first of all, it's a little bit, again, here we go with the NFL with the primetime money grab, right? So you're going to make these people, the Chiefs Buffalo, knowing how cold it is out there, they're going to play the 6:30 p.m. game, while the Dome game is going to play at 3 p.m. Good call. Thanks, NFL. Anyways, this game's pretty simple. It's Mahomes versus Josh Allen. Okay? This time, Josh finally gets the game in his house. The Chiefs were down this year, as we predicted. Right? Lou Mancini, Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game, unless you count the Super Bowls where it's a neutral site. But they were down this year. Second year without Tyreek Hill, but I still think there's more juice to Bieniemy leaving for DC. I still think that had way more to do with it. That and they're sketchy at the offensive tackle position. Pretty solid in the at the guards, but the tackles are not great. They lost Orlando Brown to the Bengals, so they got trouble there. Travis Kelce starting to look his age, and hard to think he's not at least a little bit distracted by his billionaire girlfriend, right? Even though, like I said on the pregame show in Kansas City, she's got no ass. Empty ass. However, they do run it well with Pacheco, despite that less than awesome offensive line. That guy runs angry, right? You've seen a few guys like that over the years where they come out, they run like they're trying to run through a brick wall. He's one of those. Also, where the offense has struggled this year, 21.8 points per game, 15th in the league, lowest of the Mahomes-Reed era. The defense actually got way better. 17.3 points per game, second in the league. Who is this? Eagles suck. Yeah, well, what are you, Dallas fan? Dallas Swallows. Oh, the Bucs are better. Right. Uh-huh. Okay. The Bucs are, they were this past Monday. There's not really much we can say about it. Who the hell are you, Lelfie 2186? Don't know who you are. Welcome aboard. Oh, I know who these guys are. These are going to be a couple of my son's buddies. What's up, guys? Anyways, back to the game. So where was I? Chiefs offense, lowest points per game of the Mahomes-Reed era, but their defense got way better. 17.3 points per game was good for second in the league. Now for Buffalo. They fired Ken Dorsey before they came to Philly to play us, and it looked like they figured something out when they fired him and promoted Joe Brady. What that did was Joe Brady took some of the pressure off of Josh Allen and made James Cook a bigger part of the offense. Results, James Cook ends up with 1,122 yards rushing. Again, taking some of the pressure off of Josh. Yeah, before that, you remember what the hell it was? It was Allen drops back to pass. Allen out in the shotgun. Allen on the bootleg. Allen runs to the left. Allen runs to the right. Allen on the dive play. Like, you're going to get the kid killed. So while Josh Allen does still turn the ball over a bunch, their offense actually overall became more efficient. And the threat of James Cook makes Allen's rushing ability even more dangerous. Because now you've got to account for both of them. Problem Buffalo's going to have this weekend is the injuries. They're all banged up at linebacker, and now Gabe Davis has been ruled out. Look, I don't totally disagree with Califoot thinking that the Bills could be the upset pick. The Chiefs could be the upset pick. But what I will say, if Allen and the Bills are ever going to get past Mahomes and the Chiefs, you think this would be the year. The Chiefs' offense is down. They've got them in Buffalo. Their offense looks a little less Josh-centric. It's in Buffalo. And Buffalo, they've been red hot. And it's time to put an end to that big red reign of terror out there in Kansas City. So while I see Andrew Bagley, looks like you're on the same you might be on the same boat with Califoot there. Give Josh Allen enough time, he'll beat himself. He may very well. But for me, I'm going chalk all weekend. Give me the Bills. You can have the 2.5 points. Which basically 2.5 points when you're the home team really tells you they're saying it's a pick'em game. No, I can't say that. Lofi 2186, whoever the hell you are. Anyways, that's what I got for you for this weekend's games. I am going Buffalo to cover. I've got Detroit to cover. I've got Frisco, but I'm sketchy on the 9.5 points. And I've got Baltimore. I'm also sketchy on the 9.5. And that one, we'll see. I'm glad that's the first game up. So, let's get back over to the room here one more time. Kanye West fan. This is going to be my son. Liam, get out of my room. Tampa gets killed. Bucks lose at you. Lou Mancini. When was the last time Kansas City played an away game? Like I said before, this is the first time Patrick Mahomes will play an away playoff game. Kanye West fan. Andrew Bagley. Mahomes on the road. Is this allowed? I like Mahomes to win, and the Bills run will run out. So you and Califoot are on the Chiefs. So tell me, are you picking that just because it's the Chiefs? Or are you picking that because you truly feel like the Chiefs are the better team? I think the Bills' injury problems are going to be difficult to overcome, but we'll see. And I don't know that Mahomes may have found something in that frigid cold game last weekend against Miami with that kid Rice, the wide receiver. You see the hands on that kid in that weather? My God. Keenan Harmon, less than 10 million watched the Chiefs versus Dolphins. Afternoon game had over 30 million watching. Way to go, NFL. That was because of that game being on Peacock streaming. That's why. And people are sick and tired of the constant money grab. So not everybody signed up for it. You'd have to look at the streaming results. So if you're looking at just network television, the only things that's going to show you would be the local Miami and local Kansas City areas. And vice versa, if you're only looking at the streaming, then you're not factoring in the local Kansas City and the local Miami areas. Because in those two local areas, the games were televised on just regular broadcast television. So you got to take that into account. Andrew Bagley, Josh Allen beat himself. Bagley again, Mahomes is the better QB, and Rice is a new toy for the Chiefs. Yeah, that kid, the game he had in that kind of weather against the Dolphins in the playoffs like that, that's a contract game. He's going to cash in. Lou Mancini, cardio beat Twerks once, and Travis is going, all right, I think we've gone a little off the rails here. We're going to wrap it up here, folks. Yeah. So thank you to everyone who joined tonight. Special thank you to Lou Mancini to Dave Califoot for actually popping on the show and giving us their opinions. Always great to see Andrew Bagley, Russ Taylor, Keenan Harmon, and everyone else out there on the interwebs. Whether you're watching now or later, we always appreciate the support. So, thank you as always for joining us. Come back again next week. We'll recap what we saw this weekend. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch up on a little bit more coaching decisions, particularly from our Birds. And then we'll look forward to next weekend being, championship weekend. So if you want my picks right now, I'm saying it's going to be Buffalo and Baltimore on the AFC side, and on the NFC side, Frisco and Detroit. Going chalk all weekend, kids. All right. Andrew back. Oh, man, this is always my favorite part of the show. Yo, brother, you're the man, and thanks again for another great time. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for being here every week. Thank you, everyone, that joins us. And until next week, this has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. Everyone, take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the games. I know our Birds aren't in it, which stinks, but try to enjoy it anyways, and it's still football. We'll see you next week. And as always, whether they're still playing or not, go Birds! All right, kids. Enjoy it. Adios. We love you.